What do you get when you bring writers together for some fun and games?
Writer's Virtual Table.
Welcome to our last episode of Writer Virtual Table. I am your host, Casey Bell, and of course, as always, I have some wonderful and amazing writers with me who's going to play some fun games without prizes or trophies. So first up, we have Bob. Bob, please tell everyone your name, when you began writing, and your publishing process for the first book. What was it like for you?
Well, my name's Bob Brill. I'm 50 years in radio as far as an announcer and newscaster, and early days as a disc jockey. And basically, I've written 10 books. The last 6, the ones I've been mainly concentrating on, is the series, which you can see in the background here, Lancer, Hero of the West, who's a good guy gunslinger. It takes place in the 1880s, and each one is a different affair. He goes to a different town. The first one is the Prescott Affair. The latest one is the Broken Bow Affair, and there'll be 10 books in the series. I began writing, actually, like a lot of us did. As a kid, I started writing jokes when I was like 5 years old, and then just kind of progressed on from there. But the first book I wrote, the first published book, was called Fan Letters to a Stripper, a Paddy Wagon Tale. And that is this book, and it's a coffee table biography is what I call it. And basically, I own the rights to this long passed away stripper by the name of Paddy Wagon, and her husband, who was a Major League Baseball player by the name of Don Rudolph. And I originally hooked up with them, you might say. First time I ever heard of them when I was 6 years old. On my birthday, I got my first pack of baseball cards. And on the back of the 1959 Topps cards, there was a cartoon about the player. Well, the cartoon wasn't about Don Rudolph. It was about his wife. And it said, Don's wife is a professional dancer. And even as a 6-year-old kid, pre-raging hormones, I kind of figured this was kind of special. And later on, many years later, as a reporter, I tried to track them down. They had both passed away at that point, but I got to know their daughter and wrote a couple of columns about them. And then through a process of just a longer story, I acquired basically the estate and the rights to their stories, of which my ultimate goal was to make a film, as I'm a filmmaker as well, but I felt I needed to write a book about them first, and what came about was the coffee table biography. And that was published by Schiffer Publishing back in Pennsylvania, and it was an interesting situation as far as I was looking for a publisher, and you know how that goes. You send out 1,000 queries, and maybe you get 3 returns, and 2 of them say we're not interested, and good luck. And the other one says, maybe. Well, I happened to call the number on a Sunday afternoon to this place, this publisher, and the only guy that happened to be there, he was cleaning out his desk, right, was the owner of the company, and he answered the freaking phone, and we got to talking, and basically, I told him what I wanted to do and where we were, and he goes, "Okay, great. I'll send you out a contract," and that was it. And the book hasn't done very well, but that's because it's a niche. It's a very expensive book. It's a $50 book in a niche category. So, but that's okay. I since then I've gone to the National Strippers Convention, because she was a long dead stripper, and I went there as a vendor to sell my books. This was years ago, and have worked on a little bit of a documentary that we never produced on her, but there's been other stuff produced on the genre, but not so much on her. So someday, I've been pitching the film script for many years, and that's kind of where we're at with that. That was my process with that.
Thank you. OE?
I'm one half of OE Tierman. Unfortunately, my co-writer is working today. She's a horticulturalist, so she's out in the sun. I get to be inside where it's nice and cool. I started writing on my own when I was 12, and my co-writer Olivia and I have been writing together for about a decade now. Our first book, The Hands Were Given, which is the first in the Aces High Joker's Wild series, we originally self-published, and then were lucky enough to get picked up by Amphibian Press. And once that happened, we redid the covers and basically did a complete relaunch. And that was a really interesting process, going from just the two of us kind of throwing our book into the void to having a publisher behind us and having that support. Yeah, I guess that's
Thank
kind of
you.
it.
All right, Richard, you're next.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on. My name is Rich Davis, and I am the writer and creator of the comic book Cult of Dracula from SourcePoint Press. I began writing in earnest probably a little later than most of the folks on your show. I really didn't get into it until I was my senior year of college. I'd always had, kind of the desire to write, but never really had the follow through on it because I was always distracted doing other things. I played a lot of sports. I played baseball up into college, and I never really imagined that I would be doing this. And then senior year of college, I began. I took a creative writing class for screenwriting as part of my major, and began writing stage plays and screenplays from there. And it was about 5 or 6 years later after that when I began writing the script for Cult of Dracula. It was initially a stage play, and then we circled back around and turned it into a comic book. So yeah, I got started pretty late in life, but the process for publishing this was kind of crazy. I got to be complete mediocre white guy, which is walking into a room and speaking to people who had absolutely no business knowing who I was or being willing to have a conversation with me. But, I was just convinced that I could do this. So I went and began speaking to publishers of several major comic book companies, and just kind of hassled them until they eventually decided to listen to me and give me my shot. And then from there, once I had that door open, I kicked that thing down as hard as I could and kept it wide open. And so here I am with SourcePoint Press, and thankfully my book is breaking all sorts of records for sales at SourcePoint, and we're looking to do some really cool things with it in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. And Kayla, your turn.
Okay. Hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Kayla Perrin, and I started writing when I could hold a pencil. Before that, actually. My aunt tells me that they had a recording of me when I was, I guess, less than 5. I had sat everyone down and said, "Let me tell you a story," and proceeded to tell some sort of story. I wish the tape still existed, but, as these things go, this is quite a bit old, and someone lost the tape, and I'm sure it wouldn't be in any good condition. But I would love to hear my little voice and whatever story I had to tell. But yeah, I've been writing since I could hold a pencil. And then when I was 13, I found out people got paid to write books because there was a novel writing contest, and my dad told me about it. It was advertised in the local paper. And that was when it clued in. Oh, these aren't just things I read at school. I'm not even thinking about a career behind it. And that sort of set me on the path. Okay, this is what I want to do. And I actually sent 2 books to Scholastic Publications the year later at 14. And I got rejected on one. And then I was told that the other one, they were seriously considering publishing when I was 14. So I was over the moon. Ultimately, they passed on it. And being young, I didn't even consider, well, there's many other publishers I could try. I just put it away and continued writing. And that's how I started off, and ultimately discovered the romance genre, which I jumped in, and I love it because I can also do some romance with intrigue or with comedy. It kind of, there's a whole array of opportunities within the romance genre, because romance is in every aspect of life.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message. And we are back.
OE, please ask Kayla a question.
Oh.
You said you like to match romance with other genres. What's your favorite other genre to kind of twist in with your romance book stories?
Definitely suspense, because even when my earlier stories as a teenager, there was always a dead body somewhere. And I just like the element of including some kind of intrigue. And when I was younger, it was also supernatural, but more intrigue now. And I've had editors tell me, Kayla, can you like just kind of tone down on the suspense element? We want this to be, just sort of a strict romance. But now, in fact, my publisher Harlequin has moved me to the Harlequin intrigue line, which is suspense and romance. They're like, you know what, this is going to be a great fit for you. So that's what I'm doing now.
Thank you. Rich, can you ask Bob a question?
Yeah, Bob, what is the craziest story about your baseball player and stripper that you've not been able to tell?
Oh, wow. Well, there is one, but I can't tell you. So actually, the one I like is, actually, I will. There is another one. Basically, she was married at like 13, and to a guy who later contacted me out of the clear blue sky. I mean, just totally I had no idea. Nobody knew who this guy was, but he actually had annulment papers that showed he had been married to her at 13, and her mom went in and kind of worked it out that they kind of split up, and they never saw each other again. He didn't even know whatever happened to her, except that he had read a little bit about her and then contacted me because I had written this article. But one of the things that we put in the book, as a 13-year-old, no, I guess she was like 15 at the time, she wanted nude pictures taken of herself. And she was just very proud of her body and the whole 9 yards. And so he took them. And he actually had the negatives and he gave them to me. And I certainly didn't want to expose that. But at the same time, we took the tack when we did the book that we felt she would have wanted them in the book, and reading everything about her. And so what we did is I fought with the publisher on this to put one of those photos, or maybe two, in this particular book, but as long as we blurred it. Obviously, we couldn't put a 15-year-old naked in a book. There's no way. That's pornography. And I'm not a pornographer, so we didn't want to go there. Far from it. And but we did put them in that as long as we blurred them and explained what the deal was, and the publisher went for it. So I guess that would be something I've never really told before, as far as in an open forum like this, outside of to a few friends. So yeah.
Thank you.
That left you stunned, didn't it?
Yeah, was not expecting that. But actually, that's kind of the story I was hoping to hear. Something.
Oh, well, there you go.
Like that.
There was another one that I'm not going to tell you, but I'll throw that one out there.
Okay, Kayla, can you ask Rich a question?
Okay, so Rich, you said you came to writing later in life. Were you secretly always writing? Was it something that you had like really considered seriously, or did it just sort of one day you just thought, let me get into this?
When I was a kid, I dabbled a bit. I tried to, I was always a very avid storyteller. I enjoyed, talking to people and telling stories. And my mom tells me, I was making up, all kinds of crazy things when I was, 4 or 5 years old that would just, mystify her friends. But I never really put 2 and 2 together that I could write these things down, and certainly never thought I would be able to make a career out of it. And then when I was in college, I had a very good screenwriting professor who kind of supported and nurtured me, and encouraged me to pursue this a little bit more. And even then, it took me probably 3 or 4 years before I decided, okay, before I really had the courage to try to write something to put out there for people. So I'd say after that screenwriting class, I was kind of a closet writer. I would write things down that I would never show to anyone. And then I just one day I owned a theater, and I was the artistic director for the theater company, and we were deciding on the plays that we were going to put up this season. And I decided, you know what? I want to write a play. And so I decided to write one. And then from there, I've pretty much been writing every day since. So yeah, kind of a late bloomer, but hopefully I can make the most of whatever time I've got left.
Thank you. And Bob, ask OE a question.
Yeah. First of all, I'm a little confused. OE, do you co-write with someone?
Yeah. OE
Okay.
Chairman is the name that we use together.
Okay, but you
since
write the
that's
book. You write the books together. Okay, I'm actually writing a screenplay for the first time with someone, and I'm kind of curious how that process is going with two people writing a book. It just seems to me that would be like a recipe for knockdown, drag out fights.
It can be. You have to be very careful about who you're writing with, and we got very lucky in that we mesh and complement each other really well. We actually originally started the story as a play-by-post role play to be kind of a cathartic process for both of us around 2016, when we were both just like freaking out about everything. And so we kind of had practice tossing ideas and characters back and forth from that. And our process is basically we take the general outline that came from that role play and rework it together, make sure that the characterization and the world building is all consistent and makes sense and is of a good quality to publish. And Olivia handles most of that, and then she hands it off to me, and I do a pass to make sure that the emotional arcs really make sense and are impactful. Basically, long story short, she's really good at the world building and the science side of things, and I'm really good at the characterization and the emotional sides of things. And so we kind of toss it back and forth until we have a good balance between the two of those, where our world is nice and rich, but our characters are also front and center, and their arcs are really impactful. But a lot of it just comes down to communication and being able to be open with your writing partner and trusting that you both want the same goal and you can work together to get there.
Thank you. All right, so the next section is called Judge a Book by Its Cover. I'm going to show you a cover, and you're going to give me the title of the book, the main character, the plot, and the genre.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
In 2159, the Democratic State Force gains ground every day. As they fight to bring representative democracy back, they become heroes to the citizens indentured to the United Corporations of America. Widely spread guerrilla units support the first civilian protests the country has seen in decades. Now it's the corporations on the defensive. And they are getting desperate. Aces High, Joker's Wild Book 5 Draw Dead. By O.E. Tierman. Go to oeterman.com for more information.
Rich, what is this book?
Yes. This is Eddie Eagle decides not to save the world.
And what is the
And
plot?
it's a fun children's book about an eagle that grows up thinking that he is king of the world and everything he sees belongs to him. And as he gets older, he discovers that there are other people that have their own independent lives that have no idea that he even exists. And that really shakes his ego, and he doesn't like it very much. So he just decides to say, you know what, to hell with it. I'm leaving, and leaves the world behind and flies off into space to find a planet where he can be king.
Cool. Kayla, what is this book?
Oh, God. This is Wishes Granted, and it features Thor, who is an eagle, and that is his crystal ball of the world. And he can, at any point, pick a spot in the world, find someone who needs a wish granted, and send them out on a quest so that they can achieve their goal and he can grant their wish. So it's a feel-good story. It's, I think, more for young adults. And, there's obviously some challenges along the way, but, he wants to have everyone come out of this winning the challenge and having a positive outcome.
Cool. Bob, what is
Your idea was way better than mine.
I don't know about that.
I would read your book.
Okay.
Okay, Bob, what is this book?
Well, this is a book that was produced by NASA for the NASA bookstores, and it's called The Eagle Has Landed. And it's a view from space from the Apollo moon landing, and how that they're coming back and they're on their way and they're looking at this globe and where they're going to land. And I'd love to. There's a few of the things I'd love to say about this, but I'm not going to. Like what an eagle does when it's scared out of its mind. And but anyway, this was produced by NASA so that it could be sold at bookstores and raise money for the space program to put money into the pockets of the folks at NASA.
Thank you. And OE, what is this book?
This book is Eagle Flight. That's what we're going to call it right now. It's a historical fiction around World War II and a secret all-female spy team from America trying to infiltrate the Nazis.
Okay.
I would read that too.
Yeah, so would I.
Thank you for that. That's amazing. Every episode, the same thing happened. No one had the same. Everyone saw the same image, but no one had the same story. All right. So we're going to do it again, but this time around it's called Who Is That Character? Where I'm going to show you the name of a character and you have to tell me the title of the book that this character is in, the genre, and the plot of this book.
And we are back.
Kayla, who is YZ Underman?
YZ Underman is a hitman, and he's in the story One Long Night. And he basically tries to right the wrongs of the world. He works for people who have had cases that have gone unpunished, you know, like someone's gotten off completely, or maybe their sentence was too light. You reach out to him, and YZ Underman will make it right. And he does it all under cover of darkness, One Long Night, YZ Underman. It's a suspense, and it gets a bit gruesome at times, as is deserving of the crimes.
Awesome. Bob, who is YZ Underman?
I thought Kayla was going to steal my thunder. Because I see YZ Underman as it's a comedy book. It's a comedy series about a Jewish hitman from New York who actually goes by the name Use Guys. It's used Underman, guys. It's used. Got to understand, it's used. And he's a hitman who tries to do all the things that a hitman's supposed to do. And he actually went to hitman school out in Arizona. And
Nice.
when he came back, he kind of had to deal with all the things that a hitman does, but he's really not. It's like there are no Jewish football players in the NFL, okay, or maybe one, but it's the same thing with this hitman. Hughes just can't do it. He tries and he tries, and it's a whole comedic system of errors. And I think I'm going to write a film about him.
Okay, OE, who is YZ Underman?
YZ Underman is the protagonist of a middle grade graphic novel series about superheroes. And he is a sidekick who's trying to become a hero, but keeps getting stifled by various things until he meets his sudden arch emesis, Overman. And that kind of rockets him up to being the hero that he wants to be. And the book is called Over and Under.
That is great. Okay, Rich, who's YZ Underman?
So OE actually just stole about half my plot. So that's great.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You guys are going to be co-writers now. You're joining me.
Yeah.
We're working together. Yeah. So we're doing this. So YZ Underman, and it's Underman, not Underman, because it's a capes and tights book, kind of Megamind meets The Boys. And YZ Underman is we tell the story from his perspective. He's kind of a screw up, kind of. He's the villain of the world, and all he wants to do is take over the planet, and nobody will let him do it. And he keeps getting thwarted by his arch nemesis, B.A. Overwoman. See, I changed it. You said Overman. I changed it to Overwoman on the fly like that.
I thought it was
Politically correct.
really after I ended
Right.
it.
And they're totally opposite of one another in every possible way, but something keeps bringing them together. And in the end, they finally have to come together and work in concert to overcome an even larger threat that neither one of them saw coming.
That is great. That's amazing. Well, once I email you, if any of you ever decide to write these into books, let me know.
The Prescott Affair is the first in a series of Western novels based on good guy, gun-for-hire Lancer. An educated mystery man, Lancer works out of Tombstone in the 1880s and solves crimes with his brains first before resorting to his fast gun. Lancer. The Prescott Affair. By Bob Brill. Go to bobbrillbooks.com for more information.
I have to thank my guests for coming on this show. It's been a lot of fun. Kayla, can you start us off by telling us your latest project that you published? And if you are able to tell us on what you're working on now, let us know.
So my latest book is the first of a series, and this one is called The Reverend. And it's about a very bad reverend in North Carolina and his church congregation and a very big secret he has, and the $5 million ransom that someone is trying to extort from him. So that one is out now, and there's going to be some follow-ups as well to that. It's going to be ongoing, published as ebook. I'm putting that as an ebook.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, OE, what do you have out now, and are you working on anything at the moment?
We are still working on the Aces High Jokers Wild series. Book 5 came out earlier this year. I don't know if book 6 is out as of this particular podcast. If not, it's coming out soon. We don't have a complete date on it. And we'll also have a short story out later this fall in between. So that's book 6 in the series. We're looking at 8 total, so still got a couple books to go.
Thank you. All right, Rich, what are you working on and what's out already?
I am currently working on volume 2 of my Dracula reimagining saga. It's called Rise of Dracula. And it takes place 10 years after the conclusion of Cult of Dracula, which is the final issue of that comic book. Actually comes out this week, the last Wednesday in August. It'll be in comic book stores nationwide. And Cult of Dracula is a reimagining of Stoker's original tale set within a Manson family inspired cult. And we get to, we pull vampire mythologies from all over the world together to create a new version of Dracula. And what I wanted to accomplish with that was Dracula is a character, or vampires are characters that appear in every mythology, in every culture in human history. There's something common there. So I wanted to look at the saga from the perspective of all of these cultures, all of these peoples at all of these different times were seeing the same character. They were just interpreting her differently. So the Native Americans saw the Wendigo, and the ancient Greeks saw the Gorgons. The ancient or the Eastern Europeans of Transylvania in that area, they saw Vlad Tepes. So we were able to pull all of these mythologies together and craft a pretty compelling story. So Cult of Dracula issue 6 hits shelves this week, and Rise of Dracula will be in comic book stores in January of 2022. So rolling right along.
Awesome. And Bob, what are you working on and what's out already?
Well, the latest book is out, and I usually do one a year, the Lancer series. The latest one is the Broken Bow Affair, which takes place in southeastern Nebraska. And it came out last year, right before the pandemic, and usually I debut my books at the Cowboy Festival in Santa Clarita, California, which is nearby, just outside of LA. It's actually LA County. And because they postponed it because of the pandemic, we didn't get to do that. And then, of course, they postponed it again this year. So we're not sure if they're going to have it again. But I usually work on a new book in November, December, and have it out by April for the festival. And so I didn't do another one yet. It's in the outlining series. It's going to be the Virginia City Affair. It'll be the next one. But I've also been backed up because we just finished shooting a documentary that is now in the hands of the distributors. They're taking it to the Cannes market in July. Not Cannes itself, but the Cannes market, to try to sell it. And it's called Shaken, the Great Sylmar Earthquake. 1971, of course, 2021 is the 50th anniversary of the Great Sylmar Earthquake. And I was a senior at Sylmar High School that year when it happened. And so we went back and we interviewed a lot of people that I knew and some I didn't know, and but the earthquake and everything that happened since then from Sylmar, and what will happen next, and how much tragedy there will be if 7.8 hits the Southern California and the Southern San Andreas Fault It's amazing what happened. So it's a 1-hour documentary, and the website is shakenthemovie.com. So the film isn't out yet, but the website is. So, and that's basically where we're at.
All right. Well, I have to thank all of you for joining me, Bob, Kayla, OE, and Rich for joining me on my last episode of Writer Virtual's Table. And of course, you, the audience, as always, I thank you for taking the time to view. Have a good day. Have a good week.
Are you a guest looking for a host to interview you? Or are you a host looking for guests to interview? Radio Guest List is the website for you. It's a free listing of guests looking for shows to interview them, as well as a free listing of shows looking for guests. Whether you're looking for a guest to interview or shows to interview you, go to radioguestlist.com. You're watching Plant Life Moments. I'm your host, Casey Bell. Let's start off with the first moment, Veganly Cooking Moment, where we share a vegan recipe with you. And it's time for another recipe. It's the simple and easy. Now, this is probably one of the easiest recipes you're going to get from me. You can't get any more easier than this. It's a veggie sandwich, and it's tasty and it's great. And it could also be a fruit sandwich because, believe it or not, there's a lot of fruit out there we call vegetables. Peppers are fruit, avocados are fruit. If I'm not mistaken, zucchini and squash are fruit. But anyway, this is going to be a great sandwich. And again, like all my recipes, you can alter them according to your taste and your taste buds liking. So this is a veggie sandwich. It's very simple and easy. You start out with bread, whatever bread you like. Toasted or untoasted, again, according to you. And of course, you can make this into a sub if you like. You can use a sub type of bread. But you start out with your bread and you put your condiment on. As you can see, I am using guacamole, one of my favorite spreads, but you can use hummus, you can use mustard, you can use olive oil, vinegar, you can use, vegan mayonnaise, whatever you prefer. Put your spread on. And then from there, you put your leafy greens on as the first vegetables you're going to put on. Your leafy greens, whatever you want to use. I'm using spinach and spring mix. And then you can add your fruits and vegetables. Right now I'm using is green peppers, which is a vegetable, which is a fruit. Green peppers are a fruit. And I'm also using squash and the yellow squash and zucchini, but you can use whatever fruits and vegetables you prefer on your sandwich. And then that's it. You can add a little salt and pepper if you like. You can add a little olive oil and vinegar if you like, and then you put it together and you eat it and you enjoy it. And I tell you, it's so tasty, it's so good. That's it for this recipe. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
You are what you eat, and I do not want to be dead meat. Are you a proud vegan or vegetarian? Then go to storec.com, click on vegan/veggie, and get your merchandise. T-shirts, caps, so much more. Vegan and vegetarian proud merchandise at storec.com.
That recipe sure looked delicious. It's now time for Health Nut Moment, where we share some health tips with you about being vegan. This is your Health Nut Moment. It is now time for your Health Nut Moment. Amino acids. Amino acids is something we need in our bodies. Our bodies do not create amino acids on their own. We must eat foods that have them in order to get the amino acids our body needs. Some benefits from amino acids is it may help improve mood and sleep. It can boost exercise performance. can prevent muscle loss, and may promote weight loss. There are many items you can eat that have amino acids. Soy, beans, quinoa, and buckwheat are plant foods that have complete amino acids. Other foods you can eat that have amino acids: beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains and vegetables, watercress and spirulina, pumpkin, leafy greens, hemp seeds, chia seeds, soybeans, I said that already, sesame seeds, sunflower butter, of course, almonds, avocados, figs, raisins, and again, quinoa and buckwheat. All have amino acids in them. And of course, if you eat all of those, you in a variety, in the day and throughout the week, you'll receive all the amino acids you need. There is, a false statement out there saying that you need to eat meat, dairy, and eggs in order to get your amino acids, but that is false. And of course, common sense should tell you it is, because cows don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs. Chickens don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs. Sheep don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs. There are hundreds of vegan animals and insects that don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs, and yet they get the amino acids they need. So the fact that animals have amino acids, that's common sense, that you do not need to eat animals to get your amino acids. You can simply eat fruits and vegetables that have amino acids. For more fruits and vegetables with amino acids, all you have to do is research fruits and vegetables or plant foods with amino acids, and you'll get a whole list online, or you can even buy a book if you like with all the information, and then you can go online and search for recipes with those foods so that you can get your amino acids in a healthy and tasty way. That's it for this session of Health Nut Moment.
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, is the largest animal rights organization in the world, with more than 6.5 million members and supporters. PETA works through public education, cruelty investigations, research, animal rescue, legislation, special events, celebrity involvement, and protest campaigns. For more information or to donate, call 757-622 PETA, 7382, or go to PETA.org.
Now let's move on to our last moment, vegan dining moment, or vining moment, where we showcase a vegan restaurant or a restaurant with vegan options. This is your vegan dining or vining moment. If you are in Fairbanks, Alaska, near it, or plan on traveling there anytime soon, then try PETA Place. PETA Place is a vegetarian restaurant but does have vegan options. They're known for their pitas and their falafels, and they have soups, hummuses, and treats such as Turkish coffee or walnut baklavas. You can go to PETAsite.com and see more of their menu. And if you have children with you, they will make children-sized portions of anything that's on the menu. Again, they are located at 3300 College Road in Fairbanks, Alaska. If you should have any questions, you can call 907-687-2456. And they also have delivery by way of DoorDash. That is an app you download, and you can order anything and someone will bring it to you. You can also order in advance and pick up. They are open Tuesdays through Saturdays at 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And again, they're located in Fairbanks, Alaska. That is PETA Place. And that has been your vining moment. Are you a vegan who would like to share one of your recipes with us? Or maybe you're a nutritionist or a vegan doctor that would like to share some health information about being a vegan. or you're a vegan restaurant owner or a restaurant owner with vegan options and would like to share one of your favorite recipes or one of the most ordered recipes with us, go to our website for more information on how to share your information and be featured on Plant Life Moments. Well, that's all the time we have for today's Plant Life Moments. We hope to see you again for some more moments on the next episode. See you then.